Hello, everyone. I hope traders and investors alike were green on Friday. Another interesting week last week. This week we do have the Super Bowl for traders coming up. We have Big Daddy Powell going to come out and give us the numbers for the rate, the rate decision, and the market is expecting a pause, and then we go into the press conference. Last week we also had PPI and CPI come in. Both were a little inflationary. Tech had moved lower. We had Taiwan semi news coming on Friday. That wasn't good. We also had the UAW strike last week, and there's comments out today basically saying that the auto workers union is prepared to do whatever they have to do. So it doesn't sound good there. A lot of bearishness going on in the markets, and markets have been moving lower. It's been a struggle, but it's been doing exactly what we were expecting. And like I say, the market is priced in a pause again for this month, and then they're looking to see where we go from after that. So let's just get moving into the charts, talk about the charts, look at the price action, see what we do expect this week. So as we can see here, the put to call ratio did move back into the neutral zone to 94. We're not surprised with that big move down on Friday. So the oscillators for the NASDAQ have also cooled back off at 46, negative 46. We did turn a little positive on Friday, but now we're back to a negative 46. And the New York Stock Exchange is negative 18 after being in the negative, I believe it was 38 on Friday. You can see we did close on SPX weekly chart. We closed below the previous candle with a small bearish candle there. We really don't have a name on it, but I don't like that it did close below the previous candle line, so that could give it a reason to move lower. Breath did reverse back to positive on Friday with a pretty big move down at open. We were up over 1,600 positive. We closed from the day before. So on Thursday, so coming into Friday with that large move down on breath, we're not surprised to see the market move lower. The dollar looks really good here. Looks like it wants to move up, waiting on this 20 to catch up. Above this wick right here, we're looking for a move higher. VIX with a nice green, bullish engulfing on Friday. Not surprised at the down move in the markets. Right back to the daily 9. Just moving averages, if we get back above this 9, we can start looking for a move up. But if we fail at this 9, I'd look for a move further down. Crude, we've been watching this, breaking out of this. Well, we watched the cup and handle form, the breakout there, put in the contraction pattern, breakout there. Crude and energy has been on the watch. Apple, very H cell pattern this year with this gap down. This is the daily time frame, and the candles, were steady getting a lower close. It's very, this is a very particular pattern here. It looks like an H cell pattern, but to me, this is a foot. You got your heel here. You got your arch of your foot, you got the ball of your foot. You need to see where the toes are going to point. So this is kind of ruined the H cell pattern for me. This is where it's starting back up. We need to see what happens here. We did the gap up on Friday and then move lower. Apple was up in pre-market, and you can see Apple here. It did push a little higher in pre-market on Friday and AM when the rest of the market was moving lower early on. Gold, we had this little head and shoulders pattern, got a small move down to that 200. We did close back above the 9 and 20 on Friday. Watch that daily 50 if this thing wants to push. Remember, that is a head and shoulders pattern, so we could still see a move lower. Right now, it does look like a higher low. See where gold wants to go this week. Our advanced decline lines did turn down. All right, so we can see AMC down here bear flagging, testing this 9. If we can see some rejection, I would look for a move down to that. For me, I'm just not interested in that chart. Just not enough there. Just not enough into it. AMD, nice move lower, holding the lows down here at after hours on Friday. Amazon, you see Amazon weekly back down to the weekly 9 there. ARK, we've lost a 9. This 20 is trying to turn up. Want to see if it loses this 20, we're looking for a move down. We can reclaim that 9, we're looking for a move up. AMD, you got a large down candle on Friday. We've been seeing a lot of bearishness coming into the semis, just a lot of bearish news there, with more from Taiwan semi on Friday. So that's just not good for that sector. Definitely seeing some downside there. And it's been trading in this falling wedge here, which is actually a bullish pattern. We are now below the weekly 9 and 20, and does look like it's possibly start to break down. before looking for any kind of short or anything that you want to sit into, you would prefer to be out of that pattern. Amazon trying to break lower here on in the intraday chart. We've seen a nice move down, just chopped right into the end of the day, but did give us a nice move down. Amazon, this is the weekly time frame, still closed with a high close candle. And Amazon's one of the names that's holding consumer discretionary up. Apple weekly. This looks very H-cell pattern this year on Apple's weekly. So, and we're looking for a break below that pattern and looking for a move down. We got the drowning goose on our MACD. Boeing, you can see we're struggling here at the 50. We closed below that 50 on Friday. Bitcoin, a little bit of green last week. We need to clear some moving averages there on the weekly. Let's take a look on a daily. So you can see Bitcoin's up off the lows, and we've been tracking this in the Discord. Not so much for crypto names, but just to trade our options on our crypto names, but not so much for crypto in general. But you can see the moving averages turning up here. It looks like we're flagging back into our short-term moving averages. See how we act when this 9 and 20 gets up here on the daily. See if we can push off them. Watch that 50 up there. A communication sector. We've been watching this huge inverted head and shoulders and got a really nice breakout here. Still holding the daily moving averages there. Once again, we talked about this before. You got a heavy volume profile and bar in there that needs to be cleared if it wants to go higher. Consumer staples trying to come off the lows here and seen some rejection on Friday, heading back down to that daily 9. DraftKings back into your daily 9 here as well. Can we get a push off of that? Seasonally, it's that time of year for DraftKings. The 9 and 20 still look good there. I don't know. This could be a lower high here, but this one may not be quite done yet. So we want to keep an eye on DraftKings. Lilly breaking back down below. Had this very nice push up here, this little flag break type deal. And now it wants to break back down. Watch your 20-day on the daily. ExxonMobil coming back in after a nice breakout of this cup here, trying to come back in. We need this daily 9 to catch up. Like to push back up off this daily 9 and move higher. Google, this is another chart that looks really well, and it's one of the better tech charts out there. And we've talked about this, and we still have plenty of volume profile here. So it's telling us a lot of shares were traded in this area. So there's a lot of volume in that area. You just very simply put, that means there's a lot of support in this area as well. Chart still looks great. Home Depot is now breaking down on the daily. Ugly bearish engulfing candle, and you can see here on the weekly, we have closed below, barely, but closed below this candle line. I would look for a move down to possibly this 20. Make sure you're below these candles right here, that wick. You get below that, looking for a move down. IWM, you can see the little inverted head and shoulders down here, and just a push into the very end of the day. But nice move down and tried to reverse and just run out of time on Friday. The Qs back down, actually closed below right here. It looks like we closed below all our major moving averages, except the 200, but the 9, the 20, and 50 there. The Qs intraday, you can see the move down here on Friday on the 15. And the Qs weekly. Looks like we closed below our weekly 9. So just seeing some very unhealthiness come into the markets right now, and kind of what we're expecting. JP Morgan, we got a nice push here off the lows last week as well, trying to move higher back above our moving averages on Thursday. Able to hold up here on Friday. We want to see those moving averages catch up and see if we can move. Right now, these bands are tubing sideways. You see how those bands are just pinched sideways like that? Looks like it wants to trade sideways as well, so we need to see them open up. Merck still chopping there. It's just a rough chart. Meta on the daily, breaking below the daily 9 and daily 50. Not a good sign for Meta. Do got some volume profile in there. Meta on the 15-minute chart, you can see the big move down. You can see this big bear flag type move and just a big drop lower there. Microsoft breaking below the 9 and 50 here as well on the daily. Microsoft 15-minute chart, a nice breakdown here as well. And that's what we've seen on Friday. There was a lot of opportunities to the downside. Microsoft here, we're looking for this to push it back up off this 9 and 20 on the weekly. Nvidia breaking lower. Watch your bands. Your bands still look like they're tubing. This MACD is bearish. It's opening up to the downside. Does look like we got more downside coming. Watch those bands are tubing right now. On the intraday, you can see nice move there down on the video as well. And everything was weak on Friday in the tech, but the chips have been weaker in general. NVIDIA trading sideways here. On the weekly, you can see we did push up and put a higher high in, so we need to turn back up, see where this low puts it. We clear this candle, looking for a move down. Will we put in a higher low and push higher, or we come in and put in a new low and start a new trend? A new low would be the birth of a new trend. So this is the NASDAQ trading a little bit weaker on Friday. You can see the bearish volume coming into it, breaking below all the major moving averages that we follow, except the 200, but the 9, the 20, and the 50, breaking below all that up there and closing below. A Netflix breaking down. This was one we had on the radar last week. A member asked about it, and we just had some good levels on it last week and provided some good opportunities there as well. Oxy breaking out, pushing up. Watch this 9. Watch us off the 9 here. Like that chart. Qs on the weekly pulling back in, putting in a handle as expected. SPX, you can see we're breaking down here as well. Closed below all the major moving averages except for the 200. We got to get the colors fixed on this chart. SLB broke below the 9, so we closed below the 9 on Friday. Good bearish volume coming in there as well. This is the semi sector. SMH. So we got this lower high on the weekly, and you can see we're breaking down. This was we know last week was the China chip news coming in. Semi's looking pretty rough. You can see this. You can draw a box around this whole area. If you're looking for a longer term play, you'll want to break out of that box. Weekly time frame, so it will take time. And you can see the diamond here closed red on Friday as well. And on the weekly for SPY, you can see we closed below, candle closed below. We talked about that same setup there. On the monthly, we're pulling in to put in this handle. We've been watching that, talking about that. And on the SPY daily, your daily 20 is here. We're trying to break down here as well. SPY intraday, seen that huge move down. We played a huge move down. We actually did a video talking about that little rising wedge there. Did a couple of videos on the SPY this weekend. Square, very H-cell pattern with a close below, so we can watch this for some possible downside coming into this week. Tesla intraday, pretty choppy, fairly tight range there. XLK breaking lower. So this is the tech sector looking pretty rough here. A lot of stuff looking like it wants to move lower. Now this Tesla weekly chart looks pretty good. So this 9 and 20 looks like it all wants to start turning up. MACD's coming in for a cross. RSI looks decent. Not that I'm a big RSI fan, but even that looks decent. We're definitely showing relative strength on the market here. So you can look at SPX. This is why we use SPX up here, because I personally, I keep the RSI on the chart for everybody else. I do not use the RSI at all. It's like a foreign instrument to me, and I just don't use it. I don't rely on it at all. What I believe in when it comes to judging for relative strength, the RSI is an indicator that's built to find relative strength for a stock within itself. I'm looking for relative strength versus the market. So I'm comparing. For me, true relative strength comes from comparison to the market. And you can clearly see that Tesla here on the weekly is outperforming the market. And that's what we do. That's why we watch the SPX up here, because we're watching the market and we're using that to judge relative strength. Tesla here on the daily. Nice move higher. The one thing that does concern me is we still have this gap below. This candle right here did close above that candle. I would prefer to rather had above this wick, but see how we act tomorrow coming into this week. Not bad looking charts, and we do have some decent volume profile in there. We're trying to get above, so that will act as support if we can hold above that. Uber. Once again, Uber is one of the better looking charts out here as well. A very nice chart. You know, this is not a huge cap stock or anything like that, but a very nice looking chart here. And for the traders who are looking for some smaller trades, you know, Uber may be the one you could be interested in. Walmart. So Walmart had a huge expanding volume bar coming in. So when we're seeing expanding volume like this, let's see if we can see expanding volume over a couple of days. But that's definitely not that's not good at all. Looks like some big battles in there. We're still holding this 9. This 9 tells me Walmart wants to go higher. All right, but I am concerned about that expanding volume coming in. We can bounce off this 9. We're definitely looking for a move higher. Those moving averages look great. I'm not really too interested in any long-term shorts there. The banks, we did see some improvement in them this week. Um, did have a green candle, so high close candle on Friday. We're still above the 920. We're above all the major moving averages here. And we've just seen a lot of charts. We're losing moving averages in charts, and the banks are holding them. So that's a sign. Keep an eye on the banks this week. Bonds closed lower on Friday. And IWM weekly. IWM weekly closing back below the weekly 20. We still got our weekly 200 and weekly 50 here. IWM is a stock that we're keeping an eye. We've always kept an eye on. We're keeping even a better eye on it now because it does provide some good trades with options. And IWM daily, you can see this very, I know it's very head and shoulders here. I know a lot of people may not agree. We get a candle to close below that 200. We're looking for a move down, whether you agree with what that pattern is or not. To me, it's not a perfect textbook head and shoulders, but you could definitely see I could draw a head, or I could draw a shoulder, I could draw a head, and I could draw a shoulder. That is good enough for me in my textbook. We're watching this week to make money on this pattern. It's getting even better. We have had some of our members have been watching this as well. It's a good job for spotting that out last week, Jay. I hope everybody has a great day and hope we stay green in this week. Please remember, discipline is the key to success in trading, and I'll see you in the trading room.